Hey everyone, hopefully you're all doing well out there today. Today we just have a quick encounter. This is the GIS Bigfoot Answers Encounters app. This is the map that shows some of the members, some of their encounters. And in order to be part of this, you have to be on the Patreon page and you can sign up, and I'll provide a link in the description down below. And there's a submission form that you can submit your encounter and provide details. So as you can see, the map's populating up in the first week. So thanks to all of those people who have submitted information on their encounter. Some people have submitted encounters that have been in the news, in the newspaper, and in on the news, on television reports. And this encounter is one that was in the news, and it was in a newspaper article. So here we go. Okay, 2015, in October 29th, New Ayanch, BC. It's a visual sighting. A police officer on duty in the middle of a long, straight stretch of road saw something leap across the entire highway and disappear into the trees. That's what caught my attention, seeing it leap across the entire highway. It took me a few seconds to process what I saw. It leapt across the highway, landing on the other side of the shoulder of the road. It then walked slowly into the trees. It did not seem to care about me. If it were an animal, I would have been able to see it before it disappeared into the trees. I had no doubt of what I saw. Approximately 10 feet tall, with dark chocolate brown hair, long arms that stretched past its waist, and long legs. It was not a moose or a bear standing up. I have nothing else to explain what I saw other than a Sasquatch. Close to the coast of BC, in the Coast Mountains. And let's just change the base map. And we'll change it to imagery, quite mountainous, I would imagine. And there's a river passing through. There's a highway between New Ayanch and I think it's Greenville. I'm not sure how to pronounce some of these names up here. But yeah, on the Niska Highway, quite close to that river, along a river. And pretty cool. So something I've added to the map is sorting the reports by province or state. So as you can see, British Columbia's got 2, Ontario's got 5 listed. And yeah, so the map is building. This is the first week, and we've got 13 encounters reported so far. So keep them coming, and appreciate anybody who joins the Patreon channel and to submit their encounter. I really appreciate it. So let's just have a quick look at this encounter in the Google Street View. So here we are, and this is close to the highway. This isn't Google Street View. That just happens to be, there isn't Google Street View up here. It's so far north. It's so remote. But here is a photograph. Looks like it's close to a park. I can't quite read that park, but you can see how mountainous this is. Look at these coastal mountains. That's the highway right there that the encounter took place. So it was right around along this highway, and there's an arrow, Canyon City. Yeah, and you can see the snow and the mountains up here. Wow, totally awesome. So yeah, really, really squatchy place. Pretty cool and awesome. Thank you for submitting that encounter. It was a newspaper report. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of GIS Answers. Today we will be looking at Ontario, Canada, and we will be looking at one particular sighting by a policeman. This happened in October 1992. And it was north of Timmins, near a place called Cochrane. And the police officer, he worked for the Durham Police Force for over 30 years. And that is just east of Toronto. So he would have worked down here in Durham. And the sighting took place in Northern Ontario up here. October 1992, nighttime sighting by policemen on the Trans-Canada Highway, 100 miles west of Cochrane. I'm not sure how accurate this point is, but there's Cochrane there. So let's switch over to the streets base map. and there's the Trans-Canada Highway. So somebody's just put that point there in Cochrane. But anyway, the story is the most important part here because it's from a valid source, a police officer. So we're flipping to the BFRO website, and this is the sightings report. It's a Class A sighting, 1992, October the 4th. First, I've never told anyone about the sighting until this year. I've worked for the Durham Regional Police Force and have since 1979. I was going moose hunting, and my friend was driving. We had been on the road about 9 or 10 hours, going to Ignis, Ontario. We were about 100 miles west of Cochrane, Ontario, on the Trans-Canada Highway. This area has the bush cut back some 30 to 40 yards on each side of the road when I noticed an animal coming out of the north side of the ditch and run across two-lane highway. We were about 100 yards away and moving up fast, as we were driving about 65 to 70 miles an hour, 100 to 115 kilometers an hour. This animal ran across the road on two legs, and we were about 20 yards away. By the time it crossed the road, my friend turned to me and said, "What the hell was that?" I said, "Don't you know that was a Sasquatch, a Bigfoot?" He turned to me and said it was not. I'm not going to have people call me nuts. So I said, "Okay, what was it?" He said a man in a fur suit. We argued about this for a few minutes, even though we were about 100 miles away from the nearest town. So this is in the middle of nowhere, by the way. This is so remote. This is like 10 hours north of Toronto. Very remote. Now let me describe this animal. It was about 6 to 7 feet tall, very long and muscular arms that went down to its knees. It was covered in fur that reminded me of moose hair. It did turn to look at the truck we were driving, the Chevy 4x4. It looked like it was as tall or a little bit taller than the cab of the truck. It only took about 5 or 6 steps across the two-lane highway and down into the ditch we were passing. It was at night, between 7 and 10 p.m. It was just his friend and him in the truck. His friend says he saw nothing because he did not want to be called nuts. It was cold and crisp, around 37 degrees Fahrenheit. This is northern Ontario, Canada. It's all pine forest, cedar, evergreens. This area is, as far as I can tell, at night fairly flat. The witness provided a little more detail with regards to the description of the creature. He described it as female because of breasts that were in the lower chest area, heavy legs and buttocks, about 300 to 400 pounds, 7 feet tall, and arms that hung down to the knee area. He further adds that it had the same color and texture of hair as a moose, being black with coarse hair. Apparently it had less hair on the chest area. Partial hair covered the hominoid face. The witness says that he could see muscle definition on the arms and shoulders. As it crossed the road in front of their vehicle, it turned its upper torso to look at them, and then continued to make its way into the tree line on the south side. The entire sighting took around 10 seconds. He advised that he had a camera with him in the vehicle, but did not even think of it at the time due to the disbelief in what he was seeing. So there you go. That is a witness account from a police officer. Pretty neat. Believe it if you want to, and there you go. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, please subscribe to the channel, and thanks. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of GIS Answers. Today we'll be looking at a Bigfoot sighting in Nevada, and it's from a police officer and 2 friends. It's right on the border with California in Esmeralda County, and it's in Inyo National Forest. October 2004, daylight sighting by Reno police officer and 2 friends on Boundary Peak Mountain. So we're going to look at the BFRO website. 2004, October, in Nevada. It was about 1,000 feet southeast of the peak to Boundary Peak Mountain. Nearest town, Dyer, Nevada. Nearest road is Canyon Trail Road. I've been a police officer in Nevada for over 19 years. In 2004, 2 of my college roommates called me from Idaho. I wanted to set up a climb to Boundary Peak. Boundary Peak is the highest mountain in Nevada at over 13,000 feet. It is located in the White Mountains east of Bishop, California. One of my roommates is a loan executive for a bank in Idaho, and the other is a farmer. We left Boundary Peak trailhead on the Saturday morning of July 4th around at 6 a.m. Around 2 p.m., we were several hundred feet from the summit of Boundary Peak. There were 2 climbers making their way down the trail towards us. The last 300 feet of the climb is steep with lots of obstacles, and the trail is very narrow. We waited at our location so that the 2 climbers coming down would have room to pass us on the trail. As we were waiting, I spotted a lone climber making his way across the Rim Rock Trail between Montgomery Peak and Boundary Peak. He caught my attention because he kicked a rock off the west side of the slope of the sheer rock cliff. When the 2 climbers reached our location, I observed something moving south about 300 feet down from us in a large bowl. The movement was too fast to be another climber because the area it was in was full of small shale rock. This rock is extremely hard to walk in and keep your balance on the steep mountainside. There were also several large boulders in with the shale rock where the trail was that this climber was using. When I first observed this subject, I said out loud, "Look at that guy go. He is wearing a hairy climbing suit." My first thought was that he was some kind of expert climber wearing a modern high-tech climbing suit. All of us looked at what I just pointed out, and there was a dead calm silence among us. We all sat there for about 2 minutes and watched this creature make its way to the trees below us. While I was watching it, I made the listed observation. This creature would run on 2 legs upright until it came on a large boulder. Then it would crawl over it on all 4 legs and run for a while on 4 legs. After a short distance, it would stand back up on its 2 legs and run until it came to another obstacle. This creature was between 5 feet and 5 feet 6 inches tall. Its arms hung down to almost its knees. The head area appeared to have long hair around the face and head. It appeared to be a light brown color with darker hair around the head and the groin. Once it reached an area of heavy vegetation, we lost sight of it. It took over 90 seconds to reach the vegetation from the first place that we observed it. I asked the other climbers if they knew what it was we had just seen. They did not say anything. My first thought was that it looked like an orangutan. I told this to one of my friends, and they replied, "Yeah, maybe it escaped from captivity." Everyone left it at that, and we all started back up the summit while the other climbers made their way down. Before the other climbers left, I asked them where they were from, and they said Southern California. As we were going back up, I spotted the other lone climber crossing the divide between the peaks. He was about half a mile south of Boundary Peak. I thought to myself that this climber might have scared the creature from his hiding place, where he had knocked a rock off the cliff. Once we were on the peak, the lone climber met up with us. He was an Asian male. I asked him if he saw anything down the slope of the divide that he had just come across. He said he didn't see anything. All 3 of us in our climbing party had cameras. They were all in our backpacks when we observed the creature. I initially thought of trying to take my gloves off and taking off my pack to get the camera out. I realized that my camera did not have a zoom on it, and that a regular 35mm would only show a dark spot at a distance of over 300 yards. When I returned home, I told a couple of my close friends about the creature that I saw. I did not want a lot of people to know what I saw, because I did not want them to think I was losing it. In February 2007, I bought 10 acres of land about 5 miles from the area that I saw the creature. I did not know it at the time, but this is where I'm going to retire. I was talking to one of the local residents. I told them about what I saw up on the mountain. They did not seem surprised, and told me about a local prospector who saw something in the forest that scared him to the point that he does not want to talk about it ever again. So there you have it. A witness, a Reno police officer who witnessed a strange animal, bipedal, but also switching to travel on all 4s in a mountainous area. So we'll flip back to the map. Let's have a look. So it looks like quite remote in a mountainous area with hiking trails in Innu National Forest. So please subscribe to the channel and hit the like button, and we'll put on some more videos. Thanks.